I'm picking up this energy that you know that there was times in your life where you made decisions that weren't necessarily the best for you, and you weren't living your best. You weren't living your best. You may have been putting things in your body that made you sick, like the person sounded that just walked past. Okay, you may have been mistreating yourself in that way and not really recognizing that you were, just because you were just in the flow of your environment. But now your flow is different. You don't flow the same anymore. Many of you have given up on the life that you once lived because you know it's not even worth your while. It's not beneficial. Things that you used to believe, ways that you used to conduct your daily life, it's not the same anymore. And the reason being is because you activated. The God in you is now activated. So many things that you once did before in life, you don't desire to do anymore. You don't have any desire to do it. It's like it's almost like it never happened, even though deep down inside, of course, we all know what happened in our past. But when you ascend in life and your mind and your thoughts are elevated, they tower over everything that once was. So therefore your ascension becomes top tier over everything else in your life, because those things are of the past. And so you're outside of that bracket, of that phase in life. I actually didn't mean to say bracket. Usually when I hear bracket, I'm thinking of finances, like tax bracket. But then I started to think about groups, like, because you know brackets are like separators, and it makes me think about groups. So you were able to transcend past or beyond the boundaries of the groups that you once were in. You were able to exceed those circumstances for something more, for something better for you, something that was more in alignment with who you are now, because we do change. Things do change. Sometimes people don't change because they choose not to. Someone just went down a one way, so I just feel like many people keep going down a one way in the wrong direction and they never make a U-turn. But for many of you that are watching me, I feel like you did decide to make a U-turn because you realized that you were going the wrong way. You didn't just keep going the wrong way. You started to notice what was wrong and how much you didn't approve of it. So then you started to reroute yourself. And so this way of thinking, this is the ascension. These are elevated thoughts that you had to experience in order to make those decisions to change your route. Otherwise, you would have just kept going. You wouldn't have stopped. You would have kept going in the wrong direction, not really feeling the best about it, but just comfortable because you're used to it. But I'm happy that many of you did change your ways. And if you're in that state where you're trying to change, that's good too. You know, don't feel like you're nothing because you haven't gotten to where you actually want to be. It's okay. We all do that. It's not just you. We all have been there before. We all have done things that weren't quite right, because this place that we're in right now, you know, this earth realm, it wasn't right before we got here. So you can't blame yourself. Well, no, when you first get here, you can't blame yourself because you don't know any better. When you're aware, that's when you take accountability for your circumstances. When you're aware that what you're doing is wrong and you keep doing it, that's when it becomes your fault, because you're aware. However, when you first get here and you grow into this way of being, and then you have to get to that point where you realize that the way of being that is practiced by the masses is not necessarily correct, just because of what we've received from our environment, it's up to us to change that, because our lives are our own. So once we realize that, we then make decisions based on our own belief system. It's just very important that we groom our belief system. Our belief system needs to be groomed, because there's much within that is no longer, or that shouldn't be, or that it just doesn't work. So many of us are attaching ourselves to things that are obsolete. So when something's obsolete, that means that it's terminated, ended, done, over. So that means that we're like, some of us are still continuing to live an old way that doesn't work anymore, because it's time for a change. It's time for the new now, right? So if you're still, because some of you, I know some of you are still in a place where you're not truly all the way, completely, happy with what you're doing, but you have a desire to change and you want to, that's the first step. At least you are acknowledging what you want to do and where you want to be. Now it's about actually taking the steps to get to where you see yourself, right? Now I'm hearing projection, but in a good way. Think about yourself in the next 5 years. Where do you see yourself? What do you see yourself doing? What type of people will you be around? Like, what do you want to accomplish within 5 years? If you pay attention to who's around you, and you know that those specific people most likely should not be around you within 5 years, you want to focus on removing yourself from those individuals if you know that their energy does not blend well with yours anymore, or they just don't understand you, or they try to fight you for being you. Nobody has time for that. That's very insignificant activity. There's too much going on in the world to be having somebody trying to fight you because you're being you. Like, what? No. Anybody that's trying to make you feel some type of way for being yourself and putting you down from just expressing yourself the way you choose to, those are those ones that need to go. They serve no purpose. They're like barnacles, just there, right? Just, what are you doing? Anything? Just sucking up nutrients and life out of people because they can't find their own. Anytime you have any energy like that around you, you know that it's toxic, and anything toxic needs to go in the trash. Okay? Clean it up. Clean up. It's cleanup time. This is like the last round of cleanup time. It's time to get it right, because it's going down. It's going down. And now is the best time for you to clean yourself up so that you could think clearly. I heard you don't want to get caught slipping and be out of your mind. Now I'm hearing, what if something, I heard pandemonium. What if something happens and you're out of your mind? And I'm not saying that to scare you, but I'm saying get your mind right while you have time to think straight. Get straight while you have time to get straight. Don't wait until the last minute and then try to scramble. That is very uncomfortable, and it's not ideal for anyone to rush at the last minute. That's why it's nice to take your time. I don't like to rush. I know that's me. That's my energy. I don't like to rush. However, I do like to get things done. And I don't know who feels the same way I do, or if you resonate with that. I get things done, and I don't overwhelm myself, because then all of the fun gets sucked out of it. Everything that's good from an experience gets taken away when you're trying to rush through a thing. However, when you do things methodically and it makes sense, and you do it, one step at a time, all of those actions that you've taken will come together and make a whole. So there's no need to rush. However, there is a need to stay consistent. Consistency, I feel is most important when it comes to you wanting to do anything really in life, but really right now I'm specifically referring to changing your life for the better, you know? And so there's a time when we are wild, when we're just doing whatever because we don't have much structure. We're trying to figure out life, so we just kind of like go with the flow and see where we fit. And then eventually we realize that we don't necessarily fit, but we are a part of the puzzle piece that makes a whole. And that's how we fit, by being uniquely ourselves in our own authenticity. That is how we fit, by being our own leader and the master of our own life. Because when you are in that energy, you become a creator automatically. No matter what it is that you create, you are a creator of your own everything. Okay. Many people around you, once you get to that point, if they haven't reached that phase yet, they're not going to understand you, and you're going to make them feel uncomfortable. That's their thing though. That's where they are. That has nothing to do with you. So what I need from you all is to stop allowing other people's energy to influence you so much. That has nothing to do with you. And many individuals that I see allow other people's circumstances to influence them so much that they get engrossed in someone else's situation, and it absolutely won't do anything for their life. It won't make it better or worse. It's just a thing that has nothing to do with them. So if you're one of those people, try your best to take yourself out of that loop, because that's a loop. Being all locked up into situations that can't help you or harm you is just like somebody else's something. It's pointless, you know, and it delays you from getting to your happy place, you know, your place of awareness and knowing and appreciation just for yourself. Because that's another thing. I feel like many of you out there don't appreciate yourself. You know, you don't stop and think about what it is that you've been able to accomplish, what you've done, and how you were able to get through it the way you did. I don't feel like many of you think about it, because many of you are too busy thinking about what went wrong. And it's good to analyze what went wrong so you can learn from it, but it's not good to stay there and dwell there and just allow yourself to be consumed by something that has happened already, something from the past, and also being consumed by how that situation made you feel. Don't you want to feel different now? Or are you really going to choose to continue to live that out over and over again, when you can actually replace that traumatic moment with something beautiful? It's all a choice, and I just want you guys to make better choices for yourself when it comes to your perception of your own life and those therein. Okay, because it's just too much of unnecessary attention being given to situations that don't matter, like, at all. They don't even matter. Have absolutely nothing to do with you. And I also feel like the projections can cause this as well. When people project their negative energy onto you, it's a distraction, and it can easily make you get wrapped up into the loop. That loop that is just a distraction. It takes you away from your true goals as well as your true nature. And I'm also hearing there's no need to do something because everyone else is doing it. Just because, not unless it's something good, not unless it's something that's going to elevate you and bring you more stability. That's different. However, if it's something that, like, it's a trend, it's like it's trendy. All trends are not, like, they're not good. It's not like something special or anything. Cinderella just came out. It's giving cleanup. She was cleaning up. And that's what I was talking about in the beginning of this message, to clean up. It's time to clean up. And see, but Cinderella, she cleaned up for other people because she felt like she had to, because she lived there in that place. She felt like she had to. However, circumstances changed for her when she fell in love. Now, I'm going to take that as when you fall in love with yourself, circumstances change for you. So even if you do live with someone else and you feel as though you need to abide by their rules because you live under their roof, that's understandable because it's respect. And no matter how the person is, when someone gives you an opportunity to live with them, you have to respect their wishes because it's not your environment. You know, you might contribute to being there, but when you're under those circumstances, you kind of have to like do your best with what you have. And that's another aspect of this message that I'm picking up, right? So start to change your circumstance in a way where you make a way out for yourself. So if you are not happy living under those circumstances, then you can change that by starting to create a plan. I don't want to say starting to, but create a plan. Let me just put it like that. And start to take the steps to figure out how you're going to get yourself out of that situation. You know, where can you move that is better than the circumstances that you're in now? Plan it and then start to take the actions. Eventually you'll get to your end goal. And that's with anything. It doesn't always have to be with necessarily living with someone as Cinderella did, because she was mistreated by who she lived with. This could also be in correlation with who you spend your time around in your environment. If the individuals in your environment are not going to be sturdy in your future, you know that they're not individuals that you would prefer to be around later on in life, start to focus on how you're going to get away from them then. Don't just keep on saying, I'm here, I can't do nothing, I'm stuck. No, you have to make a way for yourself to be unstuck. Creative thinking, looking at other people's circumstances. Look for other people that went through the same thing that you're going through, and then what did they do? That's when you try to take someone else's method and see if it could work for you. And there's many people that go through things like that, so you could just look at other people's. This is when you learn from other people's experiences. These are those times when you don't know what to do, and you could be so bogged down with thought that you don't know which direction to go in. If any of you feel that way, look at other people's methods. How did other people do it? And it could spark something inside of you to help you to make a different decision for yourself. You know what I mean? Okay. So when you're changing and you're ascending, there's always going to be those around you from your past that are not going to understand you. They may feel as though you're acting different, what you are, because you're changing. However, they don't encourage it or appreciate it. So that's on them. It has nothing to do with you. It's not for you to be angry about it, really. It's just for you to take it in and recognize that it is what it is. Recognize that situation and their perspective for what it is, because clearly they're not where you are in their journey of life. And that's fine. But that doesn't mean get engrossed with what they have going on when it comes to their perspective of you. Because that should not, someone else's belief about you should not stop you from being you. It shouldn't stop you from being you. You should continue to be who you are. Okay? Continue to be who you are regardless. Continue to allow God to guide you on your path, which is God's plan for you. Okay? I'm hearing God's plan will always see you through. The best thing you could do is adapt to it, because it's always there to benefit you. God's plan will always benefit you at the end. So just hold on to that and remember that, because it's true. It's the truth. The God in you is the truth, as well as the guide to you, like to yourself, in a world that is guiding you to look at everything else but yourself. Okay? So hold on to that, and remember that when things get challenging, you have the power to change your circumstances. Okay? Everything you do, do it with love. Always remember the creator is in you, and the magic is too, because you're magic. Much love to y'all. See you in the next video.